Alright guys, you can see here, I started feeding the cows hay. I'm trying to extend the cows' time in this pasture. I just went out and checked the corn, and it is starting to dent, so I'm kind of hoping to chop corn here in a week or two. And when I chop corn, the cows are going to have to be on the hill behind the house, so they are not in my way. So I'm trying to extend their period in this pasture. So I started feeding them hay, and this is kind of going to be dual purpose here. All this hay that the cows don't eat is going to help build the soil here. There's really nothing growing but weeds, and I'll show you up here what it looked like. You know, you can see where they're eating right here. This is just all weeds. So now they're going to go through and rough it all up, and hopefully any seed that's in this hay will start to grow here. And this is just some crappier hay that was baled a little on the wet side, so I feed that up out here. Like I say, whatever they don't want to eat, they'll scatter out. Hopefully there's any seed in there, it'll start to grow. Otherwise, these areas out here, in September I'll come out and I'll hand seed medium red clover and orchard grass. And what I might end up doing is get a pasture mix, like a horse pasture mix, and then add red clover into it, because then you get a little bit of alfalfa, ryegrass, orchard grass, a little bit of timothy. But you can see here it's just all weeds. So let them go through and knock all that crap down, and then that hay will, whatever they don't eat, will scatter out, help build that fertility there. But over here you can see last fall when I started clearing this, because last year this utility pole was my corner post. You can see where these old T-posts are. That's where the fence used to go. And this was just a four-wheeler trail, and you guys saw I was pushing this brush back, whatever. And I used to just bring the lawnmower up here and mow this once in a while. And I have hand-seeded clover and orchard grass in there, and it's there. It's just the top of this hill it's not very fertile, and you can see all the stumps from where there used to be pine trees. Well, all those pine needles fell down here, and everybody knows that pine trees are acidic, so that's not really helping. But you can see over here where I started clearing all this last fall, all this clover and orchard grass in here, I just tossed it out on top of the ground, and it's coming on its own. I did that, I think last year was in October when I started working on all this. I like working out in the woods once it cools down. It's been upper 80s and 90s around here. That's too hot for working out in the woods. But all this clover, you can see this is all growing just from sprinkling on top. There's orchard grass in there. Here's better. All that clover in there and this orchard grass. I wish the orchard grass was a little bit thicker than it is, but it's not, so it is what it is. There's something else I want to show you guys too. Since I combined the winter rye, we've come out and just hand seeded some winter rye here a week or two ago. Just threw it out on top of the ground where the cows have been out mingling in these trees. And I got a lot of logs to come out and pick up. I've got a lot of firewood already cut for this year. It's just got to be rounded up. But you can see out here, I just took and threw winter rye all over on the ground. And I got winter rye coming up out here in the woods. So there's winter rye growing all over, and this was done about a week after this stuff down here, and I'll show you the guys this stuff down here too. I come out here with that steel brush cutter, and cut down some of the stuff, but the cows did a really good job on their own. opening it up. It should be real easy now to get in here with the gator. They get all those logs picked up, you know, and there's this brush. I like to get all the brush down and make one big pile out in the field where I can burn it. But now I should be able to come in here and like cut this cherry tree down and buzz him all up, you know, in the blocks, and load him in the gator and get him out of here. And like this ash tree, it's either an ash or an elm, just judging by the bark. Trying to get all that stuff out of here. And cherry trees, as we all know, the leaves are poisonous to cows. When they're green, they're not, but when they start to wilt, they are. I'd like to get them all out of here. And any of the bigger cherry trees that are good enough to saw into lumber, I give it to my father-in-law, and he makes furniture and stuff out of it. But if you look down here, look at all that winter rye that's growing. It's all winter rye. I just came out here and threw out by hand. It'd be nice to have the neighbor come over with his helicopter and fly over top and drop a bunch of seed on the ground. But then here's some natural grass that's growing out in the woods. Kind of hoping, you know, as it opens up, it starts to grow on its own. But I'm sure I'm gonna have to come out here and seed stuff. But it's coming along. The cows are doing their job. They're opening up, you know, between them and that brush cutter. But like I say, my goal here is to leave, like, there's a nice maple tree, there's a nice maple tree, there's a nice maple tree, there's a real nice big maple tree. I want to kind of leave them, but I gotta cut enough down that light gets to the ground. But I want to leave enough trees that there's a lot of nice shade out here, and then as I get saplings come back up, you can harvest the more mature ones, and then, I don't know, put a fence or something around the smaller ones so they stand a chance the cows don't knock them over or eat them or whatever. It's the one thing, the cows love the leaves if they can get them. So yeah, that's just a little progress what the cows been doing out here. I mean, before you couldn't see through this, you know. So I'm kind of hoping that once they get this opened up and I start cutting trees, I'll get more sunlight. Then they'll go into the next thick part and mill around in there and open it up. So, and I know I've had some people say something, say stuff about, oh, you're cutting all the trees down. No, I'm not cutting all the trees down. I'm just thinning them out. I'm like the next guy. I like to see trees too. But I like to see happy cattle that are fat. So that's a little bit of what I'm doing here. It'd be nice to get a fertilizer buggy out here, but what can you really fertilize with a fertilizer buggy? You can run the top of the ridge, that's about it. Can't really get down in there. You know, if it was thinned out enough a tractor could go through it. I mean, I'd drive the tractor on the hillside, but right now you can't do nothing. So really all I can do is feed hay, you know, to build fertility in certain areas. And if you come look over here, you guys saw I videoed when I was pushing this stuff all back, but there's clover and stuff growing here. And I haven't pulled a soil sample, so I don't have any hard evidence to go off of. But I mean, look at all that orchard grass and clover that is growing where we push that stuff back. But I still think, you know, by feeding bales out here, that'll help build the fertility, and then I think it'll be better in the long run. If you look over here, it's a lot of these, you know, all of this I spread red clover, but there's spots that didn't grow, and I did not incorporate it, which doesn't help. But there's some spots here that do see more light, and it burns up so fast. And I think by feeding bales there and getting that thatch and that mulch and cow manure or whatever there, it should help it hold moisture in the long run too. You don't have to dig down very far here and you find shale and sandstone. Well, and there's a lot of sand. You know, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about the sand mines here in Wisconsin. Sand mines buy these hills and they take all the sand out of them and goes for frack mining. Well, these hills are shale and sand. Well, sand doesn't hold moisture for very long, so you know, especially if there's nothing on top of the soil to keep the sun from baking it. So if I can keep mulch on top, it lasts longer. And as an experiment 2 or 3 years ago, I left the bale from deer hunting sit out along the water run, and the cows ate what they want. They left a bunch of mulch like that behind it. That area grows like crazy. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do up here. And all these spots I want grass to start growing in, you know. So I figure for the next week or two, no, at least for the next week, I'm going to feed up some of this crappier hay up here, because there's still grass down there, but these yahoos, if it's not knee high and thick, they think they're starving. So try and kill two birds with one stone, quiet them down and build the fertility up here. And then at the same time, there's a log. Now when I go back, I'll grab one of these logs and haul it back down to the bottom of the hill and set it down there so it's at the bottom of the hill. And then closer to fall, I'll grab all these logs and haul them back to the yard and cut them up for firewood. And probably the next time around, before the cows get back out here, I'll probably come out and start cutting trees down, and then I'll cut log lengths out, and then there'll be logs ready to haul back down again. So kind of kill two birds with one stone, bring a bale of hay up to build fertility, take a log down for firewood. So, but I am getting this all open. That's how thick a lot of this stuff all was, and that steel saw come through and cut a lot of these trees down, or brush, I don't know what they are, them little prickly little things. So, but I sprayed a bunch of these here almost a week ago, and Roundup isn't enough, so I'm gonna have to get some 2,4-D and Roundup mixed together, or find something else to add with it to spray some of the stuff that's starting to turn green again. So obviously the Roundup is working on most of the weeds, but it's not really working on the brush. Certain tree types it will, but not whatever this stuff is. It's not working on that. And like here, this prick here has already got little babies starting, you know, and that's a cherry tree. So that drops all them seeds. That's that many more I got to fight later on. So I like to get all that stuff sprayed so it dies off, and keep the desirable trees here and get rid of the undesirables. So yeah, that's what it's looking like up here in the woods. And I sprayed that back there at the same time, and it's starting to turn. They're talking rain tomorrow. Today's Tuesday, so Wednesday they're talking rain. I think after one more rain, that stuff should all be turning. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on here. And like here, you can see all this. This is all peelings off the pine logs. When the neighbors of mine they bought all these pine trees and they peeled them all for building log homes. And nothing but weeds grow here, so hopefully by feeding hay over top of that, we'll get some worms and stuff to get into that hay next year when it's starting to decay, and hopefully they'll mix it together, and hopefully we get something growing there. I did throw some winter rye over top of it, and I can see some starting to grow, so that'll help too. Like here I can see winter rye popping up. You know, that winter rye helps a lot too if you can get that stuff growing. So anyways, it's kind of starting to get to be a long video, but just showing you guys what I got going on up here in the woods with trying to improve these pastures and get more ground. I know you guys, I made that video, I sold those I sold 2 cows, 3 heifers, and a bull. Now I've got 2 more cows going to the butcher shop. Just trying to cut back on the herd size because I don't have enough pasture for what I have animals, and I don't want to feed hay all summer long. Certain times of the year late July and August when we're in our summer lull and the grasses are kind of going dormant. You gotta almost feed hay anyways. But I need to get back to doing the rotational grazing, but until I can get more fences set up so I can move the cows daily, it's got to be the way it is. And you know, having 3 big pastures and trying to move them once a week or whatever. But as you can see, they're already getting that ground worked up pretty good. So they go through and get that all worked up. Now I come out here, sprinkle some seed on there and get a good rain on it, and voila, we got stuff growing. So I like, I'll give them a bale of hay. Let those hooves work for me instead of putting fuel in the tractor and come up here with a disc and trying to work the ground up. So, but this is what she's looking like. And I don't think she's starving either. Alright guys, well, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Please comment. Hit the thumbs up if you like this video. If you haven't already subscribed, subscribe and stay tuned for more. And she's working. So, catch you folks on the next one.